Hello Internet, I am back and today we are talking about the June 2023 housing data for the city of Toronto. For the first time in 2023, the housing market has slowed. We saw 5 months in a row of home price appreciation, sales volumes going up, but that came to an end in June. To put things in perspective, from January until the end of June, the Toronto real estate market, the GTA, all of it is up 13.8%. But we saw a lot of growth very, very quickly. And then in June, it changed slightly. My name is Tom Storey, and I appreciate you being back here on the channel. If you learned something new in today's video, all I ask is you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. We are like 200 people away from 10,000 subscribers. If you're looking to make a move in the Toronto real estate market, we've been able to help tons of people that watch these videos already in 2023. Go into the first link in the description and book a call with me at a time that works for you. Doing my research for this video, I took a look at what some of the news headlines were saying, and they're all kind of along the same idea of the housing market is slowing here in Toronto, and that is the truth, okay? So let's talk about what that actually means when they say that it's slowing. So when we look at prices month over month, because we're looking at up-to-date data, the year-over-year stuff really isn't that helpful right now, but month over month, we did slow. The average sale price in the city of Toronto went down 1.1%. So we slowed, but barely slowed. It's more just that we didn't go up like we saw for the past 5 months. Now, where it's more clear in the data, because the sale prices didn't really go down that much, it was the sales numbers, how many transactions are actually happening. And sales numbers were down 17% from May to June. Now, a lot of people will say this is just seasonal. It's nicer outside. The inventory is building up, potential rate hikes, all the good stuff that happens in the real estate market. But it is interesting to look at, and something that as a buyer or seller, I think you need to know this information moving forward. I put a presentation together for you for today's video, so sit back, relax, and let's go over the numbers together. This is actually a picture I took. I went on a little boat out in Lake Ontario looking back at the city, so just wanted to share that with you. By the way, I've lived in Toronto my entire life, and I've never done something like this. If you live in the city and you've never gone out on Lake Ontario and looked back at the city and gone on a little boat tour, I would highly recommend it. Okay. Back to the good stuff, back to the numbers. Let's look at what is actually happening right now. What does it cost to buy a property in Toronto, 416, or in the 905? Your detached prices were hovering just under $1.8 million. Your semi-detached were just over $1.4 million. That gap from semi to detached is a lot closer than it's previously been. Your townhouses are $1 million, and condos remain fairly expensive at $770,000 average. Let's jump to the year-over-year numbers, because this is the data that always, for me as someone that reviews this every single month, is the most interesting. Okay, so we had 7,481 sales. So pretty decent numbers for June. Last June, we had 6,422. So sales volume year-over-year was up 16.4%. I did mention at the beginning of this video, I don't think year-over-year is that important. I think month-over-month is more important, so I'll go over that with you in a second. New listings was still down. Active listings is down from the same point last year. Average price is actually up 3.2%. So this is the first time so far in 2023 where we're comparing the numbers back to 2022 that now the average price is actually up, right? So the February from the peak was down 18%. I think March was down 14%. Then we were down 7%. Then we were down 2% or 1.9%. And now we are actually higher than we were the year before. But obviously we are living in a completely different world where the interest rates are today. This is always my favorite chart to show you guys. This is showing you where the sales are actually happening. This is a slide that I would recommend taking a screenshot on your phone or your computer, however you're watching this right now, because this is data that's very important to a buyer or a seller. So let's say you're a seller and you have a condo worth $750,000. Well, you know that 1,700 condos have sold between 700 and 799, and you can do the math on what percentage of the market that is. This is data that will help you make a more educated and calculated decision. And if you're a buyer and you want to buy a detached house and you have a budget under $1 million, well, you can just take a look and see how many properties actually sold in that price range. Now we'll jump to specific asset classes and show you what's happened so far in 2023. So this is the entire market from the beginning of the year. We started the year just over $1 million. We're now just under $1.2 million. That is is a 13% increase from January till June. And you can see we had that drop off from May till June. We dropped about like $14,000. That was that 1% difference that we were talking about. But here's where you're seeing the slowing in the market is the sales numbers went back to what they were in April, where they had jumped up significantly in May. If we look at condos, we started the year at $711,000. We got to $784,000 in May, and now June is looking like it's falling off slightly at $770,000. Again, these are minor differences, but I still think, and I've said this in previous videos already, that May is looking like the peak of the market unless something changes moving forward, depending how the fall starts to look. Detached is where you see the biggest drop off. We were at $1.9 million in May. We're at just under 1.8 now. Now that looks significant, but also if you look where we started this year and how many sales are actually happening, and keep in mind that average sale price is kind of a metric that's not always perfect if you don't have a ton of data to work with outliers in there. So you did see that massive jump up in April to May, and we're back exactly where we were in April. If we look at semi-detached properties, they were actually the asset class that continued to go up in price. Again, not significantly, but they did move forward a little bit more than we saw in May. And that is very interesting because sales numbers and number of sales were actually very, very similar. Jumping into townhouses is similar to what we've seen with the rest of the market, a slight decrease from May with almost the same amount of sales actually happening. Moving forward for the rest of the summer in 2023, yeah, it's going to be slower than it was at the beginning of the year. That's something that I would say in a typical year, but there's other factors coming into play here as well. Inventory levels are slowly starting to build. As of me recording this video, it's still fundamentally a seller's market here in Toronto, but it's a regular seller's market. It's not a hot seller's market. It's not an insane seller's market. And with all these numbers I've gone over today, what you need to remember is that these are macro. These are taking all the information and trying to lay it out and trying to make sense of it. But what matters most for you as a potential buyer or a potential seller is what is specifically happening in the area, in the price category, in the asset class that you are looking to either buy or sell. That's how you should be making your decision. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Tom Storey. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Remember, home is where your story begins.